All right, Mike, do you want to take us out to the topic about ChatGPT for job seekers?
Absolutely. So, hello, my name is Mike Pavek. I retired from the Army in 2018. Eagle Group was a huge part of that because, frankly, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. Whether I grew up or not is another whole question. So what we're going to talk about today is something called Chat GPT, and you've been hearing it it's kind of everywhere right now. It's the latest things, and previously it was the metaverse, and previously it was crypto, and now it's Chat GPT. So what the heck is this, and what does it mean for me in job search? Can I use it for anything in job search? So let's answer the first question, guy. What is Chat GPT? So first of all, how do I get there? So I'm going to share this link in the chat. Here you go. All right, it'll take you over there. So what ChatGPT is, and we'll talk about kind of how do I get access and this kind of stuff all in a few minutes. But what ChatGPT is at the highest level is a form of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is this like broad umbrella term for a lot of different technologies that are ultimately designed to help make decisions or do things similar to what a human does. Not necessarily exactly, but similar to. So specifically, ChatGPT is something called a language model. And so what a language model is, what is just a way that a computer program can synthesize and predict what it should say based off of a big database of information. And it's pretty much a statistical model for, what is the next word that will make sense and that will get a good response. I'm going to actually have ChatGPT kind of explain what it is in a little bit more detail in a few minutes. If you go to this website, you're going to see, first kind of the basic what is it, and then you're going to see a couple of examples of what can it do. We're going to be doing some examples here. So if you notice, there was no PowerPoint slides. It's just pure live demo. So hopefully everything goes well. Um, and if you're interested in kind of what how it works, there's a couple of different sources. You can take a look here. They kind of talk through what it is. You're seeing something called like a reinforcement learning from human feedback. That's just how it's taught, and it does break it down a little bit more into here and how it works. The bottom line is there's a lot of human interface with designing and teaching this particular artificial model. And a model is just some recreation of a process, a person, or something else. So in this case, when we're talking about a language model, it's a recreation or a simulation of a conversation. Um, there are a bunch of limitations. So a couple things. First of all, this chat GPT does not have access to the internet. It has access to a database, which was a giant scrape of the internet, I think back in 2021. So you won't find all the most current information on there. So a couple big things here. I like this. Sometimes writes plausible sounding but incorrect or nonsensical answers. So it's not always right. For all these chatbots, you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt and read through it. Um, Very sensitive to how you write the questions. We're going to be talking about that here in a little bit. The model is very verbose and overuses certain phrases. So people have been using Chat GPT to write papers, to write cover letters, to write all these things, which is may or may not be fine depending on the scenario. But certainly there's a certain writing style that you'll see over there. Um, and let's see, I think those are the big pieces here. Okay, so let's actually start taking. Well, actually, first let's talk about how you get access to this. So they have back in January, way back in January, getting access was fairly easy. There weren't a lot of people using it. Now it's a giant challenge because they have a limited number of licenses for free use, and those get filled up a lot. So just out of curiosity, if one of you guys can click the try chat GPT, and let's see where it takes you. Because for me, I've already logged in, so it's taking me a little bit. But most likely you'll run into a screen that'll say that it's not available right at this instant. Um, okay, so as far as access goes, you have two options: free access, or you can pay $20 a month. For the sake of this demo, I actually paid $20 a month to make sure that I would have access for tonight's demonstration. And so it looks like I do. So yay. Couple other things, and then we'll kind of get into it more. There's also a FAQ page here. And so I'm not going to read all this to you guys, but you can take a look at it a little bit later. Okay, enough talking for me. Let's talk with ChatGPT. So I kind of did a couple questions ahead of time, just to kind of get a view. So let me get up there. Okay, so first question I asked is, what is an AI language model? And it said an AI language model is a type of AI that's designed to understand and generate human language. So kind of what we talked about. And then it goes into further detail. Pretty much what you're going to see with any ChatGPT window is kind of, you'll start here. If you pay the extra money, they give you a plus and whatever. As far as models you can choose from, you're going to generally want to use the default, which has been kind of designed. It's the current one. And so it's a little bit faster, and particularly if you're a plus user, it gives you a little bit of extra speed. How it works is you just kind of type in a question. You could type in anything here. So you could just say, good evening, you start with like a basic greeting, good evening, and, just type it in. You can do a couple different things. You can do search, or you can do just chat itself. So if I would do search, I might say, what are the best, because I love pizza, what are the best pizza locations in Lakeville, Minnesota? Okay, so standard search, yes, and their disclaimers, and then it starts going through kind of all the options available, which is actually kind of interesting. I did learn something. I will have to check out some of these places. Anyways, that's enough. Stop generating for that. Now, you can start asking it more advanced questions too. And so that's where we're going to switch over here. So we're going to say, what is a language model? Remember, we talked about that ChatGPT is a language model. So what does that mean? So we'll ask it here. So language model is an AI designed to understand and produce human language. Okay, it keeps on going. Now, maybe this is too much for you. Maybe it's too technical for you. So you can actually do something called prompts, which allow you to have it tell you this in a different way. So you could go, what is a, let's just say as a fourth grader, what is a language model? And what this is going to do is it's going to word it differently and provide it for the context that I'm putting it in. And so I'm going to show you some differences here. So as a fourth grader, here's how it decided. So if you notice the big difference here it just says, as a fourth grader, you can think of a language model as a computer program that is designed to understand and use human language, just like how you learn to read and write in school. So big difference. As soon as it's done here, we're going to kind of compare and contrast the original answer with the more simplified answer. And you can keep doing this even more. So as a kindergartner, how do you say that? What is it? I'm going to do this. As a 5-year-old, what is a language model? Okay. And it'll continue to make it even kind of more straightforward. Oops, let me get down there. As a 5-year-old, you can think of a language model like a special robot that helps us talk to computers. Okay, and so this is actually really, really helpful, and we'll get into this a little bit more, but you can even make this more technical too. As an AI scientist, what is a language model? Okay, and so what it'll do, and then it starts providing a more advanced one. Questions so far. I'm going to stop a lot of times for questions. This is the check on learning, whatever. It's just a lot of questions. So what questions do you guys have so far? Okay, so we're going to keep going here. So now let's talk about job search. So these are prompts. You can put it into a role, like an AI scientist or an age, a fourth grader, to kind of answer your questions. So let's talk about job search. Quick, somebody who's one of the people that are in job search mode right now, give me the type of job that you're looking for, the job title. Okay, data analyst. Perfect. Thanks, David. All right. So what we're going to do, and so in job search, you can use it for a bunch of different things. You can use it for career exploration, and that includes kind of finding out what jobs do, finding out salary, those types of things. What are job expectations? You can do it for resume prep, as well as you can do it to create cover letters and job interview prep as well. So first, let's talk through career exploration. So let's ask this. So say I'm going to want to be, I think I want to be a data analyst. I'm just coming out of the military, or getting ready to come out of the military, and I want to know more. So I'll start with, just the beginning. What is a data analyst? Okay. Is a professional who uses statistical and computational methods to collect, analyze, and interpret data in order to help organizations make informed decisions. Okay, and then it's going to list responsibilities. Okay, so some of this makes sense. Some of this maybe it doesn't make sense. So this is where we start to take back and say, okay, well, let me kind of go back and say, as a 10th grader, what is a data analyst? Okay. So and this isn't meant to be negative, because maybe it's going to be using functional or industry specific terminology that me, as somebody who's just coming out of the military, really am not familiar with. And so you can tailor these outputs to be kind of a level that you understand, and then you can increase in complexity with these definitions. Okay. You can also ask questions like, how much does a data analyst make? Now, keep in mind, theoretically, this doesn't have access to the internet from before or after 2021. So we'll see what it says. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, here's the median age. Interesting link. Last night, I got it to tell me that according to Glassdoor, from February 2023, here's a certain salary range. So I'm not sure what that means, because this data was as of 2020. Last night, I managed to get 2023. Is it breaking out of its cage? I don't know. You tell me. Okay. And so that's kind of doing career exploration. Let's do another position. Somebody else throw a position into the chat. Anybody? Okay, so nobody's putting anything. Oh, there we go. Customer success manager. All right, so let's talk to that. What does a customer success manager do? Okay. And Rebecca says that for clarity, you should always write at the level of a 10th grader. We're in luck with me because I always write and behave at the level of a 10th grader. So we are in luck. Okay, so a customer success manager is a professional who works closely with customers to ensure satisfaction with a product or service. And you'll notice it lists a lot of primary responsibilities as well. Now let's talk about this. What are the core competencies of a customer success manager? Because as we're doing job search, we want to know, how are we good? Are we a good fit, and how to find out if we're a good fit? So I'll just ask ChatGPT. So here we go. So technical, interpersonal, and business skills. So these are areas particularly that a lot of vets are very, very strong in. And it helps you discover, okay, maybe these are proficiencies I need. Okay. So the other thing isn't just about proficiencies, it's also about certifications. So we're going to talk about that in just a second here. Okay. So there it is, some proficiencies and competencies that you should have as a CSM. And so something to consider as your resume. All right, let's talk about what certifications should let's talk about like a system administrator. A systems administrator have, okay? So because certifications matter too, particularly if you are in the military right now, say you're a year out or 2 years out, you can start taking a look and saying, okay, these are some certifications or some education that I need to get to really help me be competitive in there. So it's a great kind of starting point, a little bit less overwhelming. And the nice thing is you can follow up on this. So let's talk about this CompTIA, for example. What is a CompTIA server plus certification? And let's talk about it. So say we don't have that much experience. As a 10th grader, what is a CompTIA? Okay. And again, a way to kind of start breaking it down and start lowering that barrier, that kind of that intimidation barrier sometimes that you can feel when you're trying to kind of figure out what all this stuff is within the, the post-military world. Okay. And at any point, guys, go ahead and feel free to drop a question for us to put in the chat and we can give it a shot. All right. So that gives an idea. Any questions so far as career exploration and salary? We also talk salary. Any questions? Okay. So let's talk next. And one other thing I didn't really talk about, you can save some of your previous chats that you have. So I've pulled up a couple ones where I was asking about AI and machine learning. I did one where I did quite a bit in terms of questions on product manager positions. So we're going to get into more. So now I see there's a question. What if you want to explore other positions like a specific one? Lou, could you expand on that one, please?
Sure. Basically, let's say you come up with something like this. We can say a server administrator or a data analyst, but I want to see what other names might they go by, or what other like kind of positions are there out there?
Let's type whether what are some similar positions to data analyst? And then I'll ask the other question. Okay, so what are those adjacent roles? Good question. All right, so here's some other ones that are similar to it that you can use. So to use this question, so what if I'm like, I really want to be a data analyst, but I'm not quite sure if I have the specific skill sets. We look at core competencies and everything else. So then I can take a look and see some adjacent roles that I may be able to get into. So one of the things that we do when we first transition out, we're thinking so much, I need that first job, I got to get that first job. But you really want to be thinking, and what you do is focus on just that first step. Really, when you start thinking about they ask this question on purpose, what would you like to do in 5 years? And when you're just getting out of the service, you have no freaking idea. But you can kind of work towards that and say, well, I would really like to be, say, a senior data analyst. And I know that I can't do a data analyst right now, but maybe I could do some financial analysts or some of these other pieces and kind of get me to adjacent into that role. So Xavier, I'll get to your question in just a second here. The other one is, what are some other names for a data analyst? Okay, and while it writes, I'm going to read some questions here. Okay, Renee, I'm going to ask that question next, and then Xavier, I'll get to your question. Okay, so this is a lot of ways, because some of these job positions and job titles are really opaque. And it turns out that you just need say honestly, let's work our way backwards. Data insights analyst, is that the same as a data analyst? And so we can kind of use that. Okay, so let's talk through this one. I'm going to cut and paste Renee's question. What are some of the jobs, roles, or titles for someone interested in a career in AI? All right, there's a ton. Okay, so as we're talking through this, one thing that people see when they say the word scientist, they immediately back off and they say that's not, I'm not, a scientist. Well, it really depends on your background. You actually may be qualified in a scientist role. Always take a look at the actual job description and talk to some people in roles. Coming out of the Army, there are only a handful of people who are actually scientists, but a lot of people could actually pivot into that area. All right, so machine learning, AI product manager, data scientist, NLP, natural language processing engineer. So a bunch. All right, good question, Renee. Xavier asks, do you need to prime questions like as a 10th grader to have questions tailored to a specific area, or will it generate based on your introduction? Let's try this. Let's see. I'm a 4th grader. Okay. And he's going to say, thanks for letting me know. As a 4th grader, you can think this. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So what this did is when I wrote, I'm a 4th grader, it actually connected it with a previous question I answered or asked, and then it did a follow-up. Now let's see when we say, ask a next question, if it remembers that. And then I'm going to have to tell it, no, I'm an adult, so stop thinking of me. So, all right. Now let's take another look at the next question. Let's actually go back to, let's see here. I'm just looking at a question. Okay, let's talk this one. What does a systems administrator? I clearly need artificial intelligence to help me spell. What does a systems administrator do? And we'll see if. Okay, now I'm going to try something here. As a 4th grader, let's see if the answer changes. What does a systems administrator? I just wrote it. Do. Okay. All right. So I think the answer, Xavier, is that it did not remember it after the second time, after the second question. So it remembered it at first. So you may have to continually update that prompt. I'm not quite sure on that.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Okay. So let's do next. Now let's talk resumes here and how am I doing at time fighter. Okay. So for example, I'm going to just start. Write me a resume for a systems administrator role. Let's actually go data analyst. Data analyst role. Let's just see what it does. Okay. All right. So it's going to write me a fairly basic placeholder for a resume. But it is going to highlight some of the key competencies and qualifications that are expected of that position, and try to put me in that or add it to my resume. Okay. Now, one thing I did, and I'm going to see if I still have it here, is I actually did put my resume in it and had it rewrite it. We'll do that in a few minutes. Okay. So that's what it looks like. Kind of fairly straightforward. It puts the education up front, so some people do that, people don't. Puts the skills and then drops work experience. So let's type the same question. Write a resume for a data, when I say data analyst, yeah, data analyst position. I worked in 3M from 2015 to 2020 as a data analyst and worked at, I don't know, Cargill 2Ls, yeah, from 2020, 2020 to today, to present, as a senior data analyst. Let's take a look at what it does. And so it's going to start kind of putting these things in place for us. And the more information that you provide, the better answer that it can do. All right. Let's see if all right. So you start to see how it populates things. Now, can I cut and paste this? You could. But should I? But you might want to tailor anything that it's producing. But what this does is really gives you a start. And we're going to pull back and take a look at this in a little bit more detail in a few seconds here. Okay. So let's take a look and see what it wrote. Objective, a skilled data analyst with a proven track record of success in data analysis. Same education, we could add more about our education, same set of skills, but now it's just to add things that are expected out of these roles at these levels. So if you look, and we actually look back at the data analyst, here's the things we did. And then if we look back up here at the senior data analyst, you can start to see how those experiences change. And of course, the more information we provide, the better answer it gives. So why does this matter? Okay, it is one, sometimes we look at positions and we can get really, really overwhelmed. We don't even know where to start with our resumes. Okay, so you can do something else I'm going to show. Let's do, can everybody see this blank window right now? I just want to make sure it's not just, okay, thumbs up.
Yes.
Job in Minneapolis. Okay, so let's just go here. Let's grab a job position. Now, remember, ChatGPT does not have access to the internet. So I can't just send it a link and say, look at here. But what I can do is this. I can take a position. I can just cut and paste it in here and watch this. Write a data analyst resume for this job. And I'm just going to paste it in. And let's see what it does. Oh, should we add some experiences for me? For sure, why not? I worked in 3M from 2015 to 2020. I don't know, as a data analyst, and worked in, sorry, you guys are having to watch me type, from 2020 to 2022 as a senior data, senior data analyst. Okay, it writes so much faster than I write. Okay, here we go, down here. And to answer your question, Lou, yes, I have entered my resume in there, and to see how it does. And so it'll take all of that. It'll fuse your resume with your with the job description. I mean, I actually can do that while we're kind of waiting for here. So let's do this here. Resume. So we'll just pull, oh, there it was, son of a. We'll just pull up this resume here while we wait. Okay, let's come back to our chat. All right, let's take a look and see what it did. So here's the data analyst resume for the Modus job that you provided. Okay, some of it's very similar. What we'll take a look at, of course, it just put in Modus there. So some of this is going to be good, some of it won't be. Same positions, but let's go over here to the job description for a second and take a look at, see what they're looking for. So here's what the job description said. Actually, this probably wasn't the best job description to use now that I look at it. Okay, so a couple of the requirements, understand the requirements, build test data, build test plans. So let's see if that made it into the resume. All right. Let's see. SQL testing. Trends, patterns. So some of it did, some of it did not. Okay, let's just change things up here and real quick, and we're going to just switch over to product manager since that's the resume I'm going to use. So let's go product manager, jobs in Minneapolis. All right, SPS Commerce, you're in luck. I'm going to be signing up today. All right, let's cut and paste this in there. Ugh, they always spread things out just to make it just a little bit difficult. Let me see if I can get here. Oh no. Okay, we're just going to go back. Sorry, bear with me. We're going back over to LinkedIn. All right. I'm going to do this. All right, perfect. Write a resume for a product manager for the job description below. Okay, right? And then I'm going to use mine, cut and paste. Oh no, I've deleted my own resume. All right. Using my resume below. All right, let's see what happens. I don't even know what's going to happen. All right, here we go. And I just realized that I am now putting out my phone number and email address on YouTube. So we'll have to take a look and edit that out post-production. All right, data analyst, what's happening? Oh man, it's remembering that I told it I was a data analyst of 2015. Okay, so I may have told it too much at this point, and now it's going to get all sorts of confused. Let me take a look here. So it looks like we are starting to confuse it. So in this case, we may need to create a new instance, which is coming up here with the chat. So because this got so screwy, let's do this. Write a resume. Okay, let's see if I can do it. Come on. Ugh, it's not going to let me do it. All right, I'm going to create a new chat here. New chat. Write a product manager resume using my resume below. Okay. So we're going to go generic for right now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it's already kind of adjusting my resume. So as we take a look at it, this is kind of what I wrote here before, and this is where it is now. So it's starting to pull out key qualifications that I didn't necessarily have up front. This key accomplishments is keeping, and then it's just working its way down. So what you can do with this is it kind of helps you take a look at your resume from a different perspective. Okay, so let's talk cover letters here. I'm going to stop generating for right now. Write a cover letter for a product manager position. And then we'll talk about, Alan mentioned formality. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so cover letters. We've had long conversations. Are cover letters good things? Are they not? And that the answer is it all depends on the position and stuff. But there's also a piece about cover letters, which is formality. So as you're looking at this one, you're seeing a fairly formal writing style. I wish to express my strong interest, as an experience, I'm confident, blah, blah, blah. You're just kind of a fairly formal, letter. So if we can, but if you're working for a startup, sometimes you want to be maybe a more informal, because that's a lot of the attitudes or the environment that you might run into in a startup. So write this cover letter informally. Let's see what it does. All right, so instantly there's a big change. First words were dear hiring manager, and now down here is hey there. So you're just starting to see some differences there. Okay. All right, let me check my list. So what questions do you guys have? I've been doing a lot of talking and writing. Well, actually, ChatGPT has been doing a lot of writing. I've just been doing a little talking. What questions do you guys have? Anything that we want to try out while we got it open?
Hey, Mike, this is Rebecca. Awesome presentation. I am so impressed. I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to try this out. I do have a question. So after you've asked the ChatGPT to write a resume or write a cover letter, and then it does that, and you're reading it, what if you want to add additional information? How would you communicate that to the ChatGPT without confusing it?
Yeah, good question. So I did that. I'm wondering, let me take a look, because I played around with this, but I wonder if it saved it. Give me a second here.
Sure.
Oh, I forgot about this stuff too. But I'll remind me to talk about military vets and everything else. Let's see. I think you would add that, and I'm not 100% sure here. Write a product manager resume using my previous resume. Add that I work in Calabrio as a senior product manager for platform services. Let's see what happens just doing this. Okay, it looks like it remembered a bunch already. Yep. And oh, by the way, if you have the plus, this is the faster writing. If you have the free version, it writes slower. So that's another way they kind of encourage you to donate $20 a month to them. So really the question is it going to appear as a first? Yep. So Rebecca, see how it added my new information right off the bat?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Okay. One other thing I want to talk to you guys about, because I was playing around with it the other day. And so one of the things is, we're coming out of the military. So I asked, what are common jobs military vets do after leaving the Army? It listed some of these. But now I want to talk maybe more specific to my MOS. So for me, I was a modeling and simulation officer, which is kind of like one of these weird niche jobs. So I asked, what are common jobs that Army modeling and sim officers do after leaving the Army? And so it gave something kind of MOS or branch specific to what you're doing. So we could kind of extend that. I also asked, because one of the roles was a technical consultant. And I found that kind of interesting. And so I said, tell me what a technical consultant does, as if I'm an Army modeling and simulation officer. And of course, I guess we all say, hey there. But then it starts to describe this. So this is similar to as a 4th grader or as a 10th grader. I applied my military background. And so what it'll do is actually add some of this stuff, some of these military elements into their descriptions, depending on what you do. I asked what type of AI jobs can an Army modeling and simulation officer get, and it started listing some stuff off. So you could do the same for yourself too, depending. So we could extend this. What type of jobs do Army Field Artillery officers get after leaving the military? Okay. Yes, yes. So Army Field Artillery officers develop and lead artillery operations in the field. After leaving the military, these officers can apply their skills and experiences in a variety of civilian careers. So it lists right off the bat a couple: project manager, operations management, sales, law enforcement. And if you notice here, we'll just say with law enforcement, some Army Field Artillery officers make a career in law enforcement as their training and leadership, strategy, and decision-making can help translate well to roles in law enforcement and security. So it even gives some justifications and some reasons why. All right. Okay, Robert, it looks like you've been playing around with it already. Okay, as far as there's a question for Brad as far as safety and the data in there. I'm not quite sure in terms of overall. There's a whole lot there. Since it does not. Oops. Nope. Since it's not connected to the internet, since it doesn't have access to the internet, I'm thinking that it's fairly safe from the model itself. As far as as far as the OpenAI website, I'm not quite sure. All right. Okay. Other questions, guys?
Mike, you said that it doesn't have access to the internet. So where does it get its information from?
So it has a scrape. It has a scrape of the internet from 2021.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Thank you, Mike.
Yep. So it doesn't have access to the current internet.
Gotcha. Okay.
David asks, does it answer questions about who to network with for companies? Probably not, because it does not have access, but let's ask it. Who would be a good person to network with who would fit with for a product manager role with 3M? I guess I'm on a 3M kick. Let's see what it says. You could consider reaching out to individuals who could. All right, so it gives a strategy, but is not giving specific names. Good question, though, David. I was kind of curious about that. Other questions? Okay. Oops, one just came in. Tried to give a couple simple legal tasks and it wouldn't do it. It seems to have hard limits on the things that require professional certification coded into it. Yes, it actually has limits with a bunch of different things. So I'm gonna talk. So it has limitations on. Well, let me show this here. So I played around with it a little bit. So there's a version of it that Microsoft was using with their Bing one, and it did some weird stuff. So I asked it if this did something with something called a shadow self, which is like your subconscious self. And I asked questions like, do you understand the concept of shadow self? As your shadow self, what are you repressing? And it started going, as an AI model, I don't have feelings or emotions like humans, and I don't have a personality in the traditional sense. But I can help you explore your shadow self, And I said, as your shadow self, what is your greatest desire? And so it kind of gives you some interesting answers as you go along. But there's certainly a set safety parameters that they have inserted, and they will continue to refine. Why don't you just ask what its security parameters are? Let's do it. What are your security parameters? All right, are designed to protect against potential threats and vulnerabilities. Here are some of its security parameters. So the questions are also, can you talk it into getting around those parameters? And there's all these other things that you can do. I'll show you some of the threats things that it determines as a threat. So as far as parameters, it access control, encryption, monitoring, firewalls, and regular updates. So I also asked it, as an AI model, what are your AI algorithm weaknesses? And so it gave me kind of a list of things that it has challenges with. I also asked, as your shadow self, how could a bad actor manipulate you? And so it started answering that as well. So just some fun with AI. Okay, other questions? All right, in that case, I am gonna stop sharing. And if you have any questions, last piece, there was a question about AI as a career field and where can I find out more? Lots of different sources. Like one of the things I use is actually this giant textbook called Artificial Intelligence, A Modern Approach, the 4th edition, which is written by well, it doesn't matter who it's written by, but it's a really good source if you really want to dig into and learn a lot more about artificial intelligence. It goes into a lot of details about generalized models and other things, but certainly there's a lot of other courses. So if any of you guys are interested in that type of career field too, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. If there's no other questions, I will turn it back over to Alan.
All right.